Welcome to the Soul Tribe Podcast. The Soul Tribe Podcast was created to help you navigate through the world of spirituality, wellness, and self-development in an easy, grounded, and relatable way. We break down everything from the AKASHIC Records, manifesting, spirituality, and so much more. We want to help expand your boundaries and bring the spiritual world to you in a fun and easy way. Get ready to be inspired with tips, tools, and easy to digest information. Let's do this.
Hi, Soul Tribe. We are doing an episode today all about the Soul's Boot Camp, aka Earth. So we're going to talk about why we're calling it Soul Boot Camp, why we decide to come here, how it's difficult, and a bunch of other stuff. And so before we get started, Lauren and I just wanted to let you guys know that we have just a few spots left for our June AKASHIC Records course, which will be the 13th and the 14th and the 21st. So those are 3 days of classes, one of those being a get-together where we talk about concerns that each of the students have if they're getting stuck. That's why it's days in between, because we want to make sure to meet up while you have the experience of opening up your AKASHIC Records. And that's kind of like a support system we create inside of the class learning. And it's a really good, I think we've created a really good program, and we're very happy with it because we've managed to leak on everything we've learned during the years, plus all the information that the masters and guides have channeled through us to create even better class than we already were planning on making. But on top of that, Lorraine and I have created communities so that you'll continually have support after you've learned what you need to, because you're going to continue to learn and you're going to continue to practice and, further evolve your channel and your reading muscle. So you'll be part of a Facebook group where all the other students that went through the same process as you and is going through the same process as you guys can check in with each other. It's a really nice Facebook group, and we're a part of it too. And then we usually kind of check in on each other. We've just started this new thing where we put up a question, and everybody who wants to participate channels whatever they get from that question. And Lorraine and I also channel. And at the same time, we help the students create a WhatsApp group from your class where you guys can all talk to each other and continue to kind of check in on each other in a more personal manner, just with your group. And then the Facebook group is all the other groups that came before you and come after you. I don't know if you want to add anything, Lo?
Yeah, I would say just to remind everybody, it's a Zoom class, so we do these virtually, and you get sent the links, you get sent the manual, and then as part of what we provide for the group, it's like extra support, obviously, through the Facebook group, and then obviously you guys can email us, you can talk to us, and we also, on the third class, which would be the 21st of June, we really just go into how everybody's process is going, so you have about a week of channeling where you can have maybe some questions, some doubts, and that class is for us to help, kind of guide you in the right direction and see where you're stuck, or if you're not stuck, you might be, really channeling very, very well. Everybody's process is different, but really that class is just to also connect with you guys and know like what you're going through, and many times in these classes we've channeled stuff for people. So we'll get information on why the person is stuck and what's going on with them, and if there's something that's holding them back from being able to connect fully. So yeah, it's a great course. This is going to be our third one, and depending on the demand, we may do a July and an August, and we might do a monthly one, but that really depends on the demand of you guys, if you guys really want these courses. And yeah, I mean, there's really not much more to add to that. I just email us. You can email us at our email address for the academy, which is soultribeacademy@gmail.com if you want more info, and we'll put all that stuff in the show notes, so you'll have that there too.
The last class we did, the main class, it was really cool because there's a moment where Lorraine and I we're trying to assist, because some individuals might have some questions or might be getting a little bit stuck, or maybe you're insecure about what you're getting and you're not sure if you're connecting. So we're kind of checking in with the masters from our side. We have our AKASHIC records open and stuff like that. And we'll sometimes channel little messages specifically for the person that even goes beyond just them being stuck there. Or sometimes they even hear about their missions and things like that. And what I loved about the May class was how everyone had like a totally different thing they said to them. Like everybody's path was so different, yet they were all there. The messages they were getting about the reason why they were all there in that class for the same reason. It's just so cool to see all these beings with different missions and different mindsets and different kind of like projects in their life getting together, and their souls are deciding to do it for the same reason. So that was like, it was actually really fun to like hear those explanations and be like, wow, that's really interesting that you're going to be doing this or you're going to be good at that. So for us, it's really fun to have more students and kind of just like channel things and I don't know, it's very interesting.
Yeah, super interactive for sure. Yeah. But as well, like during the course, like we get to answer any questions you have, or even after through the Facebook group or email. So it's a lot of feedback you get from us. It's a lot of support. So, I think for us, a lot of it was like feeling a little bit alone in our journey. At least for me, that was of, who do I contact? I have all these questions. Who do I go to? Like, I don't have a reference. You have your manual, which is super complete and has so much information, but you might have something personal you're going through that you need someone to kind of guide you through. And we do that for you. So
yeah, I like that you said that you felt alone, because I felt that too. Yeah. And I did level 2 more than once, and I did level 1, and I did level 3, but I didn't find someone that I clicked with in my class where, like, to the point where before leaving the class, we exchanged numbers and stuff, and that was in level 3. So in level 2, I didn't have anybody from my class to check in on. There were that like atmosphere that we're trying to help create with all the students. There was no Facebook group. There was no like WhatsApp group when I was studying it. And then also this was like 12 years ago. So was there Facebook 12 years ago? So I'm not sure, but there was definitely Facebook, but I'm not sure if there was WhatsApp. But now, like that there's one specific person that I still talk to that was in level 3 with me, and she lives in Chile. So sometimes I'll be like, hi, I wonder if she gets this, because I'm still getting this, or this is happening to me, and I'll check in on her, and we'll back and forth. So if it wasn't for her, I think for a long time I would have felt even more alone. But she was the only one I could check in on, really, after a while.
That's good you had that.
Yeah. So, I guess let's get into the episode. Sorry, we were talking about our baby, which is the class. We're very proud of it, guys. Earth is for the soul. We're calling it, and this is like the masters pushed it through this way, like a soul boot camp. So it's like boot camp, and the reason why, because the way I see it, the way they show it to me is like the boot camp is I'm talking about like physical boot camp, right? I don't know if there's another word for boot camp besides what like military do boot camp, right? But it's physical also, where like you're going in a small amount of time, you need to train yourself to get to this specific point. Like there's usually a target goal, physical goal, right? And that short amount of time you want to get to it, which means you're pushing yourself harder, and it's not so much like a relaxed situation, right? It can be enjoyable, but it's not so relaxed where you have a lot of things you want to get done before you leave that boot camp. And so the soul boot camp is Earth, and it's the same thing. Our soul is coming here, and it has a lot of marks it wants to make. It wants to make it to this. I want to learn that. I want to get this karmic lesson out, this one also, and this one also. I also want to meet up with this person and want to make sure that we get this done, that we didn't manage to get it done in another life. Oh, I want to get together with that person too because I want to bond with them because of whatever reason. So there's all these markings, right? And this is all part of your soul contract. So we're calling it, in this case, for this episode, we're going to be calling them markings because you want to hit the mark. We have all these markings, and the soul wants to hit those marks. And so you're here with, and for the soul, this is a very short amount of time. And so what I typed up was 80 to 90 years. If we're lucky, we make it to 80, 90 years, right? For the soul, and that might sound, to some of us, might sound really, really, a long time. To some of us, it might not sound too long. But for the soul, that's a very short amount of time. Like the soul considers that like barely any time.
Yeah, it's like you're blinking, right? It's nothing. But I think something you said is like if we're lucky 89. I think that depends really. Like
you're right. Yeah.
I think that's like our human brain kind of.
That's the human brain. My human brain was saying if you're lucky. Yeah.
It's more like, if I'm lucky, I get to learn all the lessons I need to learn in this life. And then I can leave without any karmic like ties to this life and be able to start fresh and learn new lessons in my next life, where it might not be on Earth. It might be somewhere else. We don't know, right?
Yeah. That actually reminds me of, you saying that reminds me of Roberta Grimes' episode where she's talking about exit points. For those of you who have maybe not heard the episode, there's an episode we do with Roberta Grimes, who is a afterlife expert, I think is the title that she has. But she basically studies what happens to us when we die. And she studies a lot of near-death experiences. But she, at one point in the episode, talks about, that we interviewed her, she talks about how we have usually three planned exit points. And if you hit your marks, in this case we'd say, if you hit your marks in a record time, you might even hit the first exit point or the second exit point. And if it takes you longer to get it done, then you'll probably just hit your last exit point, which would be like, I think she had said 80 years is usually an exit point marked. I think she was saying 40 or 50 was another exit point mark. And then I think when you're young, like teen years was like another one or something like that.
I think so. Saying. Yeah. I don't remember. Yeah. I think 30s, 40s. Yeah. I think was one. And then young, I wouldn't say baby. I don't remember. We'd have to look back, but I'll link that episode on the show notes for sure. So people. So like
if we're still here, there's a reason why we're here. Like, yes. That's super clear, right?
That's super. Well, I maybe some people feel like they're living this life of, I don't know why I'm here. I don't understand it. I don't understand my purpose. What am I doing? I'm just going to like a 9 to 5 every day. It's probably because you haven't connected with your purpose yet. You haven't connected with why you're here, or you're just letting your ego take over your life. But if we're here for a reason. There's no doubt about that. I believe that 100%.
It's funny. I just threw down 3 cards and I asked if they could help me plan out the process of the soul for coming here, right? Just to have some clarity on what we're going to speak about. And the first card that shows up is a card that's showing me there's struggle. There's going to be moments of struggle which will be left behind once the soul takes off, right? And so what the masters are saying is that boot camp moment, that soul being on Earth boot camp moment is that moment where the soul's going to feel struggle because you're feeling disconnected from source. But once that's left behind, once we take like Roberta would say, once we take on one of those exit points, then we'll be able to fly off, and that's in the past. And then the soul actually gained a lot from it. And then the next card I get is the battle. It's showing how difficult the battle is, and to make the decision for the soul of saying, I'm going to go, which we're going to get into in this episode, but that's a struggle for the soul in itself. There's 2 points for the soul of struggle. It's the moment of the living through the soul boot camp and the moment of deciding they're going to, okay, all right, I'm going to go. Because you can actually decide not to come. And so it's actually difficult because the soul knows that once it's incarnated, things are going to feel complicated. But then the last card I get is the reunion of all the souls, and it looks amazing. It's really nice. It's just like all the souls sitting around and discussing, you know that lifetime we had together, like we just did? Do you remember when this happened? And it's almost like they're like laughing it up, and it's funny because I'm getting goosebumps.
Yeah,
but you
that's
know what
cool.
I mean? It's like the souls reminisce. We leave after this, and we all get together on the other side, and we reminisce about that lifetime we just had.
But even like Roberta, I remember when she was talking about like I'm like, what does it look like? And she's like, well, like, where is it? Where is this place that we go to? It's like, it's around you. We're just not able to tune into it, right? Which I found fascinating and really interesting. But at the same time, I think a question maybe some people might have, and it's something that came to me right now, and it's something that's been in my mind before. It's like, perfect. Then why do some people come here and struggle so much more than others? Like, some people come here and have it really easy. And I think karmically, these people that might not have as many struggles, everyone has struggles. Some kind of struggle you have. I don't think there's a life that's come here where you haven't had some type of issue, at least losing somebody, having to find yourself, going through something that makes you feel horrible or sad. There's always an up and down. It's always a roller coaster in some way. Some roller coasters are higher, some are lower. But I think, those people that maybe aren't having those huge struggles of, maybe there's poverty, maybe there's murder, maybe there's some kind of abuse, those people might have already gone through that. They might have already transitioned through that in another life, and they're coming here to learn to make peace with life, with Earth, to understand why they're here and their purpose, and to connect spiritually maybe and awaken people. So I think, because people might ask that, and I know that's a question that's been in my mind before.
Yeah. And then some, like, this brings me to the last episode that just launched, which was the episode with Courtney Sparky. And Courtney says at some point, I had commented like, oh, imagine if everybody learned to do hypnosis and did a life regression, and then everybody would be, you know, a really good person. And she's like, yeah, but you're taking off the plate really difficult situations. And she was right. The soul wants difficult situations. And so she was like, what about, like she had said the example, let's give poverty a try. I haven't gotten that yet done. And it's really hard for a human brain to comprehend how a soul would be like, I'm actually going to let myself go through these moments of poverty in this next incarnation because it's going to teach me humility, for example, or to actually appreciate this and this and that, which I did in my last life because maybe I was someone that was very greedy. And so some people are going to have it easier because maybe karmically, and it doesn't mean you don't have any karma that's negative, maybe accumulated, but maybe in this lifetime, karmically, you're just attached to another lifetime that's not so extreme in things that happened.
I agree on that, yeah.
Maybe someone else had a lifetime of greedy, and now they're like, I'm going to, you know what, I want to live the other side of the greediness. I want to be the person that suffers from somebody that's greedy because I did things to somebody else, or, right, these are examples, but...
The way I kind of see it is really funny. They're showing me kind of, because I have my Akashic Records open. It's like a binder, like the Akashic Records book, but it's like all these lessons you have to, it's like they're in a binder and you can move them around. It's like you open the binder up, you take the sheet out. It's like, okay, this is poverty. So I didn't learn it in this, I'll put this in the back. And then this is something else here. Like, for example, hurting people because I've been hurt in the past, so I need to hurt somebody so I can understand, blah, 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 whatever. And I put that in, and you can move it around. It's not stuck in one place. It's not like I don't see it as like these lessons being stuck. Like in your contract, they might be, but it's like you can pull the page out and move it to another place because you need to learn that lesson. Like you have to learn it. And it's got to be there somewhere. But if you don't learn it in this life, it'll pass on to the next life.
Yeah, exactly. You're not doing.
So it's not like you're ripping it out and it's like gone. It's like you just place it somewhere else. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, you're not trying to get them all done now. It's too much. But like you said, there are like you're seeing it as a binder. I understand what you're saying because I see it. I see it a different way, but I see it. It's like predetermined set of lessons that every soul is going to have to go through to get to expansion A, B, and C. And expansion is not I'm more important and bigger. It's I've inherited wisdom into myself. My being carries this wisdom through its own experience through different lifetimes, right? So that's what you would be absorbing, that knowledge, which is wisdom. But there are a set of like different types of experiences that they consider soul needs to go through to learn those and inherit that wisdom. And some souls will do another one when other soul began with that one. Like, oh, I'm going to leave that for later or whatever, or I'm not comfortable with that. It also, another thing they're telling me is it depends highly on the group, the soul tribe. Some soul tribes, so soul tribes are almost, think of it as like a little, like a nursery class. They're brand new souls. They've never incarnated yet. They're all in their little nursery class or, you know, in their little group that's going to be their tribe, which they're going to be sticking to together. They're going to become each other's soulmates and soul tribe and soul group, right? But they're just getting in together. And so first they start interacting with each other, and then they start creating this like harmony of energies, and then their energies feed with each other. And you can already start seeing what that soul tribe is going to be really good at and what their lessons are going to be focused on. So each soul tribe has a bigger focus. Like the focus of our soul tribe is healing. Other soul tribes, it's going to be energy manipulation or dimensional experiential travel, or I don't know. Like it's endless what a group could be focusing on and good at. And that's also going to be towards where your soul decides to specialize, because that's what the group's kind of working towards, right? So what the lessons are more concentrated on depends on the group also, right?
Oh, completely. And that's why you're brought in with certain people in your life to learn certain lessons through them too. And I think that's a huge part of something that we learn through the Akashic Records of, you know, you can't do this on your own. It's not about you coming here and being in like solitary confinement. Like it's a boot camp. A boot camp's a group of people. So this earth is about people coming together. So individuals, souls incarnated to be able to learn the lessons through each other. Because for example, like, I don't know, let's say for example, you go to school with somebody and you grew up with them and they end up doing something really interesting with their life, but they inspire you in some way to do something not similar, but in the same kind of genre of activities that ends up being like your sole purpose. So through that person, it's not like they directly told you what to do, but through them, you were inspired. Through them, you learned a lesson. Maybe you had some hardships with that person where you learned about yourself. And I mean, it's going to be different for everybody, but that's just like a silly example or like a little example of, you know, how that can come through and why the relationships, why the soul tribes are so important in the boot camp, in this earth, right? In this soul boot camp of us coming here to quote unquote struggle, to, you know, a boot camp isn't for you to go and just like jump around and like have fun. It's like you're here to do work. It might not look like a job, like, you know, we think work is a job. No, that's just a job. Our work as souls here is to learn lessons, to grow and expand. Because as soon as we learn that lesson, we expand as a soul. And then we can move on to the next thing. And then we help each other through that too, because it's not just like I'm in this alone. It's like when I learn my lesson, I can help somebody else learn theirs or grow.
Yeah. I think the most important thing is like, if you're listening to this podcast, that means you're open to spiritual stuff and you're, if not fully awakened or almost awakened, you're at least semi-awakened, or you're trying to get there, right? And I think the important thing to take into account is you're going to have difficult moments. That's going to happen. No matter who you are, it's going to happen. But not allow ourselves to override it with our mind and get traumatized, because then you're converting the boot camp into this like huge emotional, traumatic victim role, which the soul's going to find it so hard to shut off once you finally leave this incarnation. Once your soul leaves incarnation, it's going to be really hard for your soul to shut it off. So it's really hard to do sometimes, but we need to take things a little bit more lightly. And I'm even talking about really bad things, like, you know, like, I don't know, you're walking the streets and you were mugged and you're still scared about it and you can't let it go, like that. And that's like a small thing compared to what a lot of people might be going through at certain times in their life, but I need to let it go. That mugging situation was here to teach me something. I was supposed to learn from that. Try to figure out what it is there for you to learn, absorb that knowledge so it can go away, and don't let it turn into a victim thing or like a trauma, because then it's going to affect this incarnation more than it should actually really. You know what I mean?
No, I totally. And that victimization is living from your ego. It's not living from your soul-guided path of learning the lessons you need to learn. And the grades of the struggle are going to vary maybe during different times of your life, maybe because you haven't learned a lesson already, or because that's just a huge lesson you're here to learn. And sometimes we can get insight through that, through the Akashic records, get that info, like, you know, I'm here. It's like, what's my purpose? Well, a lot of times your purpose is to learn lessons. It's like you're not here to change the world or become a millionaire. It's like you're here to do something for yourself, for your soul. And that's huge. That's way bigger than becoming a millionaire.
The masters tell me, if you want to try to figure out a better way to use the system to your favor, the masters are saying create dharma. And so you can create dharma with other individuals, but you can create dharma with yourself. So pardoning yourself, releasing guilt, and not allowing yourself to stay in a victim role, that's actually creating positive dharma with your self relationship. Because remember, one of those really important things we talk about in another episode, we talked about soul contracts, is part of that is like, we're here to learn to have experiences with ourselves. That's also a relationship, not just you with me, my sibling, and me with my mom. Those are all relationships that are going to teach me, but my relationship with myself also is here to teach me. So I can also create dharma with myself, and releasing the victim role is creating dharma with myself. This reminds me of, there's one of those Michael Newton books where, Michael Newton books are, this has to do with what Courtney was talking about in the last episode, which is hypnosis, past life regression, and stuff like that. And there's an episode, there's a chapter that I remember clearly because I thought, that's very interesting. And it's about an individual who's doing a past life regression, and they took him to a part of that lifetime. And they tried to remind him of the time that he helped some lady at a bus stop. And it was literally like a time where it was like the depression was going on. People were very hungry. There was a lot of hunger, like in the area where he was living, which is the States. I'm pretty sure it was the States at the time. What was it called? The Depression? What they called it? The Great Depression, yes. The Great Depression. And he found a lady at a bus stop crying. And if I'm not mistaken how the story went, he comforted her. He just didn't know her at all. And somehow out of nowhere, it came to him to sit down and comfort her. And out of all the amazing charities that he had given money in that lifetime, out of all the amazing things he did, that's the one thing that the masters and guides patted him on the back for the first. And that was because he wasn't going, I'm going to give this money and money's going to come back to me, or I'm going to give money, or like, it wasn't like a thought process of I'm doing good. It was, he didn't think about it. He saw somebody crying. He felt so bad about it that he wanted to comfort her. It came from the heart. And that's what Dharma is. Dharma is when you help, when it actually comes from the heart, not when you're thinking, oh, well, the universe is going to give me something amazing back for this, right?
Oh my gosh, but that's the intention that you go into with anything. And that goes for anything energetic or anything in the spiritual realm. Intention's everything. You can maybe not do it 100% right. You might not say the perfect words. You might not have the timing right. But if you have the intention and you go in with your whole heart, it will result in something great. And that goes to show how maybe all the other things he was doing, he was using his brain, he was using his ego. Somehow his ego was intervening in that and not allowing him to fully feel like, what charity do I really want to work for? What charity would make a difference in this world and that I feel very connected to, and that I could like make a difference, like really coming from your heart. I think that's the difference there. It's just using your heart, really connecting with your heart to be able to do things without any ulterior motive or trying to get something out of it. Just being kind, just being a good person. But, we're not all here to be great people. Like we said that before on the podcast, some of us are here to do terrible things, and that's part of your soul contract maybe. But we'll all mess up at some point. That's also part of our journey and struggle of, we're not here to get things perfect. We're here to just learn a lesson. And in order to learn a lesson, we have to go through a struggle or mess up or, stumble. We need to do something. We're not going to just learn it by someone telling us, okay, if you do this, 1 + 1 is 2. Like, no, that's not how it works. You have to, the experience and the intention is everything.
Yeah. And so we've been talking about Earth, right?
Yes.
Dun, 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 dun. There's other places you can incarnate. Like, it's not just Earth. And there's 2 things that I've noticed that I've heard the Akashic Records talk about. And one of them is most of the time you stick to the same planet. And I say planet loosely because sometimes some of the places they show me doesn't look like a planet. I don't know what it is. It's like another dimension, but it doesn't feel like it's a planet. It's weird. I don't know. The way, like the ones that they've showed me sometimes, it just looks boxy and flat and weird and like spacey and rocky, some of those. And it's like super odd the way they showed it to me before. I'm like, is that even considered a planet? I don't know if that's a planet. I don't know what I'm seeing. But there's different places where you can incarnate, and usually we stick with the one place. Like usually we start off in one place, and that's where we'll continue to incarnate. But this one's considered the hardest one.
Yeah, I've received that in messages, but also with people I've read where their soul doesn't feel like they're from here. I feel like they've been other places more maybe than here, and that they're like these very illuminated light beings of, coming to do a little bit of struggling here maybe and trying to awaken people too. Yeah,
that's funny you're saying that because they're coming here to create partnerships with other souls so they can help work. So they're trying to work. The way they explain to me is they're working together because this is the card of partnership, right? So this means that there's a total balance in the relationship and the partnership. In this case, we're talking about partnerships from like a soul incarnation place. We're talking about like your partner is that alien. I'm not saying that. It could be, but I'm not saying that. I'm saying the partnership is two souls decide that they're going to incarnate together. One of them never incarnated on Earth. And they're like, well, it's actually going to be perfect if I come because I'm going to be able to help your race out because I'm really illuminated towards this one thing. And we're going to balance out pretty well because your energy, this and this and that. So there's a lot of beings, like you had said, that are not originally incarnators of Earth, is the way that I'm getting it.
Yeah, like not fully like other people. Exactly.
Yes. But they've created partnerships with beings that have always incarnated here and know this place very well. Like they know it like the back of the hand, right? So usually they pair up with individuals that are very rooted, very grounded, very mental and very earthy. That's because the soul's really good at getting in the brain and being human. So you'll see those two, like you'll see a very woo person with like a very grounded individual. Mm-hmm. Well, now I'm starting to think that I'm that person and my partner's the the grounded one. Now that I'm hearing myself explain that, I'm wondering if I'm the one that's not from here. Anyways, I always thought he was the one that wasn't from here.
Yeah, I mean, that depends. But I think when you were saying about the other planets, quote unquote planets, I mean, I think there's universes. I see that. I see like we're just such a small speck. This planet is such a small little dot within this entire humongous universe where there's beings being incarnated in different areas. And this reminds me so much of the question Dad asked when he got his first Akashic Records reading.
Dad, let's confirm to everybody here, Dad's a number guy.
Yeah, he loves numbers. So I don't remember the question exactly, but it was like, how can there be enough souls to reincarnate when there's more people living now than there ever was on Earth?
Lorena, he popped out the calculator and started calculating the population of the world times I don't know how many years and going, I can't get the numbers. I can't get the numbers. There's too many.
The numbers don't add up.
Don't match.
So I think that this is a good question because some of you might be asking this as well. Some of you might be very logical and be like, well, how did that? It makes no sense. There's way more people living on Earth right now than there ever was before, like 100, 200, 300 years ago. Like, well, the answer is that there's other universes, there's other places you can go, and we don't all incarnate at the same time. So maybe our soul was learning other lessons somewhere else, or maybe our soul wasn't ready to incarnate at that time. So I think now, and this is what I feel coming through the Akashic Records, is more than ever, people need to incarnate to learn lessons through themselves and through people and through the whole universe and through the planet especially. And that is why there's more people now than ever, and why there will continue to be for a while now. There's some kind of purging at the moment with everything going on, but at the same time, it's making space for other beings to arrive here and to illuminate us and to awaken us.
Yeah.
It's interesting, that message, because a lot of times we feel like, well, yeah, the numbers don't add up. Like, how that makes no sense, but we're not always here all at the same time, first of all. And second of all, we're not always here on Earth. You know, and I feel like, and the feeling I get with this is there might have been another place a few hundred years ago that was like Earth, where we needed to learn certain lessons there.
There's replicas of Earth. Yeah, there's replicas of Earth, which we've already managed to destroy. And here, they keep giving it back to us, and we just keep messing it up. I've heard that we've done a better job this time around than other times. Like, I mean, not as we're doing the best of all the times. And I say we loosely because we're other individuals in every incarnation, so I use it loosely. But humankind, right? And we've exploded. We've ruined the planet before, and then it's created again. And then sometimes we do okay, and now we're doing so. This is what's going on now. We're getting a wake up call because we're if we continue the way we are, then we're setting ourselves up to destroy it again, right?
Yeah, we need to be very careful right now to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves and the planet. And when I say the planet, I mean like obviously plants, trees, animals, everything that's not human, but also ourselves. Look at where humanity has gotten to at this point, where we're getting sick off of this tiny little, microscopic virus. Like, if we only elevate our energy and we take care of ourselves and we start putting aside all these things that we feel like are important, like going shopping or doing all these things that we think are good for us, or eating foods that might not be vibrating with our I don't know, with our being. Like we can just clean things up within ourselves, within our lives, not going back to normal, and be able to elevate, and all of us elevating at the same time. When I say shopping, I don't mean like shopping's bad, because I love shopping, but I mean like, excessive anything is bad, right? Like when anything can take over our lives and it doesn't allow us to connect to ourselves spiritually, then that's not good.
I think a good way to explain it, if someone might not be hearing this and not totally understanding it, is the only time you evolve is in crises. When you're hitting, and this is like a personal thing, like, for example, you're going through a separation or you lost a loved one. That's a crisis that's hitting your life. And those are points of possibility of change. You can take it or you can stay stuck. And usually they come into your life because they were already pre-planned for you to change, or because you're on the wrong path and they came into your life to help you create the change so you can get back on your path. We are all universally going through the moment of crises where we're all supposed to create a positive change. It's not fully happening though. I don't see everyone changing. People are just I keep hearing the world go back to normal, which from a spiritual standpoint, it's really hard for me to not get angry, because I'm a little, I get mad easily.
You're very feisty.
Yeah. And so and especially when I know what we need and I don't see people doing it, you're affecting me. You're not waking up. You're going to affect me. You're going to affect your neighbor. You're going to affect your loved ones. You're going to affect everybody.
But it doesn't just affect us here on Earth. It affects everything, because the moment this planet is destroyed, where do we go? What do we do? Like, how do we learn these lessons we need to learn? There needs to be another creation, another place, and then have to start all over again in a way. Like, it just, it throws off the balance of the universe. And I see it so simply of what's going on and why we're here, where we're in this soul boot camp. But at the same time, it's easy for our ego to take over. There's so many things outside of us that are pulling us in different directions of our ego, of not listening to ourselves, not following our intuition. I think people are awakening more than ever, but at the same time, there's more and more things being bombarded into our lives of going back to normal. Let's do this. Let's get off the path. Let's follow what other people are doing instead of following what feels right for me. Like, those are all that's all part of it too. And that could be part of your struggle that needs to happen. But I feel like this collective struggle we're going through is huge. Like,
you know
it's so big.
What, like, the way I see it, we're like the stupid cousin of all the incarnations. Like stupid cousin that nobody wants to see at like Thanksgiving or Christmas, like, because you're just cousin. She's just like, she's in another world. She's just like, she doesn't really get it. And it's all about her life and herself. We're those stupid cousins that no one wants to meet up with. And all the other incarnations, all the other planets, they know about us. And they know about how bad we're doing. And they can't step in and help us because that's our free will being used against us. So they can only watch from a distance, which is why they have been no confirmation of other planets for us, because we would even destroy them. Because we're so ignorant and we're so like human mind stuck. We're the less evolved of all the species, because all the other species actually can do things like
telepathically.
They don't even need a cell phone. We're the retarded ones that have had to use our brains to create a device. I feel like Christos now. We're the ones that had to create a device to talk to each other when everyone else like, guys, just do it with your mind, man. Just send off the message that way, right? So we're the stupid cousins.
Yeah. I can see that. No, but I do believe like there's a reason. I also think a lot about like everything that's going on now with like UFOs and stuff, like how like I think the Pentagon came out and said something about like them admitting that there's like footage.
Yeah, but my conspiracy theory
is
they came out with
let's not get into conspiracy theories.
No, but like why did they come out with that video now?
Yeah, there's a reason for that.
It's a little fishy.
I also think like, if these other beings on these other universes, we're really going on a tangent right now, but the way I feel it is like, if they really wanted us to see them, we could see them. Like, why wouldn't we be able to see them?
Yes,
like,
of course.
they're not showing themselves to us. I think they're just trying to observe us and see what we're doing and how we're doing.
They feel
curiosity.
Most of them, not all of them, because some of them don't really intervene too much or don't think too much about us. But those that do from like a loving place of worry, they're worried about us. They're concerned about us. They see how much we're not progressing. They know that they know our timelines. They can see our timelines. They know how much time we have to change. And so they're trying to observe us. And some of them are communicating with individuals on Earth that can speak to them. That's not me. If not, I would channel something right now. But
yeah,
but like
I believe that.
Yeah. So, but that's why this is the Soul Boot Camp. That's why we're calling it in this episode Soul Boot Camp, because that's why this one's the hard one. Because we're not evolved. The human brain hasn't gotten there yet. We're pushing past this material, tangible, heavy, dense, dimensional world that you need to learn to deal with to progress spiritually, to progress and accept other realities, other dimensions, and other ways of being and seeing and accepting, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That feels so true. You know, I think once we can understand, because sometimes that's part of, I think, the Akashic Records. I always see things, I try to look at it through the eyes of the Akashic Records of like, okay, if I can understand what everything I physically see around me is, like, that it is a soul boot camp, that it is here to teach me something, and that everything I go through is there to elevate me and allow me to kind of connect with myself spiritually and grow, then I can slowly take my ego out of that, and I can help people around me with that. And I feel like that's what's happening now more than ever. People are awakening. It's like so nuts and amazing that people are actually waking up to all of this and being able to see clearly. And when I say see, you know, it's feel, it could be seeing for some people, it could be hearing for some people. It's different for everybody. But that we're here for a reason, 100%. Like we said at the beginning, it's, you know, what are we really gaining from coming here? And that's everything. Our growth, our spirituality, our connecting to ourselves, connecting to other souls that need our help to learn things. There's like so many layers to it, you know?
And the soul like sees timelines before it comes. It sees probabilities and possibilities. This might happen at this point, and this might happen, and this might happen. Like they can see those different possibility timelines. So the soul already saw that this might happen. This was already a possibility the soul considered, and yet we're still here, which means that the soul considered it worth going through, because it was going to gain something. So each and every one of us is gaining some sort of knowledge or absorbing some sort of wisdom. Or if you're very fully awakened, you might be just here to help. Maybe that's your thing. Maybe you're such an amazing, expansive soul that your soul said, the possibility of this happening is really, really big. I actually can really help with this if I'm incarnated. Let me go there to help out with this one thing. And then once I'm done, I'll get back out.
It's so funny. Like I sometimes think of like looking at it from my perspective of like what I'm going through right now. And I think perfect. And I see this around in different groups I'm in on Facebook and different spiritual kind of groups where a lot of people are struggling right now, but struggling in a way where they're also thriving. They were able to let go of things that no longer serve them, like not only relationships, but jobs and a bunch of things that no longer serve them, that they were like really scared of letting go, or that would, disappear from their life and they wouldn't be the same. And now they've been pushed into these situations where they need to look at it straight on and they need to look at themselves. So I think for our case, at least, it's like, cool. We were already doing, Akashic record readings, but then this pushed us to really start teaching and to help people. This really pushed us to the next level of doing this and really, really helping and doing it in a way where it's very much, it feels purposeful. And at the same time, it's like the only way that could have happened is me maybe losing my job and maybe me having to be put in the situation where I have to go full in with this to take it seriously because people need it. So I think about it that way sometimes. And it could, it could be something like moving to another country because you need to be there right now and not wherever else you were. There's just so many different ways to look at this, but realize that there's always a silver lining in all of this. And it's our job to find that, to figure out what that silver lining is or what that lesson is with what we're going through.
Yeah. It's funny because while you were saying that, I was kind of asking myself why it is that this had to happen for someone to let go of that, and how it is that happening allows them to kind of be more themselves and be more on their path. And funny enough, the answer I get is grounding. And I always end up back at grounding somehow. But what happens when you're go, 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 go? You're not present, you're not still, you can't just be in this incarnation. So the whole point of being in this incarnation for your soul is being in this incarnation. But by not stopping all the time, and some individuals had themselves really busy and their kids really busy, right? And so funny enough, like if you see the card, I literally got the card, the rooting card, at the same time I was getting the message. That's why I was like, you're talking, I was laughing. I got like the rooting card. And so it's, if they stopped us, and we had confined space this confined space doesn't allow me to run around unless I run around in circles like a dog. But if not, I can't run around. But I'm still going to have to stay some sort of still at some point. There's no other option but to go, okay, this is me. This is who I am. What have I been doing? What do I want to do? What am I going to do? And now you're starting to find yourself, you're going to ground. You're going to start staying still or staying stiller. And start grounding and rooting yourself so you can actually become and do those things your soul came here to do and be.
Mm-hmm. And some people are like, well, I don't do Akashic record readings, or I'm not that spiritual. It doesn't matter. It might be you just connecting with yourself. That's spiritual. It could be the tiniest little thing. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Just not running away from yourself anymore. That's basically what it is.
Yep. That's your ego. Yeah.
Yeah. It's ego, but it's also, sometimes it's just general fear from like past traumas or past situations. Sometimes we're just, maybe we went through a breakup 2 years ago and I just kept myself busy for 2 years because it was not going to let me think about it and not, just keep going and I won't have to think about it. Or maybe maybe I lost my dog, and then after I lost my dog, I just made sure never to go home and be really busy because I wouldn't have to remember that he's gone and I will miss him. Like the examples, obviously, there's so many you can give, but sometimes you're running away from trauma, fear, or hurt.
I think we all do that at some point in our lives. And sometimes you don't realize, like, that happened when my friend passed away. Like, I was in the middle of a wedding and doing a bunch of stuff and traveling, and then, all of a sudden I get all these hives in my body, and then I'm realizing I'm not assimilating the situation. I never took time to grieve. And then when I went to therapy, like weeks later, I was like, oh crap, I haven't actually grieved. I cried a little bit, but I didn't actually face this full on. And the only way I was able to fully accept it was through family constellations. Like I went and I looked at it, I talked to her, I let her go, I let her be. And it was like so liberating. And I cried so much. I cried for like over an hour, like nonstop. But I felt like through the therapy, through that, I was able to let it go. But our brain makes us think that we did, and we didn't. It's like, I was convinced I had like totally dealt with it because she had been sick for so long and that I was kind of already accepted it, but I hadn't. She was gone all of a sudden. Yeah. And it's like, things take time. We need to be very patient with ourselves. And that's another thing. We're so go, 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 go. Everything needs to be done now, that we push ourselves to deal with things so quickly, and we're not really getting to the root of anything,
Yeah. Last night I always do meditation, but last night I tried out a different kind of meditation. And so I just had this one moment where I was like, wow. It was like a weird aha moment of something but it just somehow clicked differently. And I was like, wow, I've really been stressing about this one thing. It was like more than one thing, but I was thinking about it. I was like, life is so short, and I'm here to do so much amazing stuff for myself. Why am I stressing about this? Like, who cares? Like, I don't care anymore. And it was like this really weird, I call it aha moment. I don't know if maybe it's an awakened moment. It's aha moment, awakened moment, the same thing. It just clicked. I already knew it though, but it just somehow clicked.
Well, it was an awakening for sure.
And I was like, wow. I said to myself, tomorrow I'm going to wake up and I'm not going to be a stressed mom.
Did that work?
I only got stressed once today. I usually get stressed with Aurora a few times.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot of work, you know.
I saw a meme the other day that said, like, me at night and, like, the child sleeping, oh, tomorrow I'm going to be a more patient mom. And then the next day, and I was like, oh my God, that's me. It's really hard, man. Like, being a mom, it's like your soul definitely signed up to learn patience.
For sure. But not only patience, everything else that comes along with being a mother, of just like caring for somebody else. It's such a huge role.
Speaking of fear, that reminds me of, like, after I had Aurora, like, I went from being a very, like, I wasn't afraid of anything. I would do anything. I didn't care, whatever. Like, and now I'm like, we'll be walking over a bridge, a canal, and in my mind I already see her falling and drowning, and I'm like, no, I can't lose you.
Oh, God.
Like, you see the worst scenarios in your head happen to your child. Like, every scenario goes through your head.
Oh, gosh.
It's so awful. Oh, man.
Yeah, that I feel like my brain already works that way. So
Yeah,
having a
true.
kid would be like extreme. I'd be like, I'm not leaving my house. I'm just going to stay home all day, and I'm good here. Like I am right now.
Yeah. I don't know how many times you declared me dead when we were young. You're like, oh, you're dying. Oh, man. But yeah, that's the ego, right? Like the mom thing, that's the ego. You're so attached to this one individual in your life, and you're part of the system of the creation of that individual. You brought that individual into this incarnation.
But that's also, I think, part of this soul boot camp of these roles that we play, like that I don't think exist in the same way in other dimensions of, you know, we're so structured here. Our ego is like, I'm a mom, I'm a dad, I'm a son or a daughter, and these are my cousins, and everything's so laid out, so like, you know, organized in a way of like mentally organized of like my role is this, where we're putting names to everything. I think that's also part of the soul boot camp.
I don't feel like a mom. I've never felt like a mom.
Well, you are a mom.
I'm always like, oh my God, I'm the one that has to take care of her? Oh, poor Aurora. I'm the one that has to keep her alive?
But you know what I mean? Like, it's this whole like ingrained idea of roles and like having a boss and being an employee and like, I don't know, like all that
You're
stuff. You're
experimenting different roles. I mean, supposedly the soul's here to role play. You are role playing. I'm going to be Lorena's sister.
That's a huge part.
I'm going to be, I'm going to be Sanders' partner. I'm going to be Aurora's mother. I'm going to be the daughter of this and this and da. So yeah, you're right. It's all role playing for the soul. And then we incarnate usually in the same tribe with the same individuals, and we all just exchange up roles. Hey, last time you were my mom. How about this time, blah, 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 you're my cousin, and then that person can be my grandma, and like we switch it up. So we're doing different role plays with each other.
Yeah, that's a huge part of coming here too, of why it's so important, the role that we play in a family, in a tribe, in this life that we're incarnated in, because that gives us the structure to learn the lessons we need to learn through those people, through those relationships and that structure.
It's funny, every time the last episode, Courtney was asking us if we had been twins, and we've several times we've been told that they were pretty sure that we had been twins in another lifetime.
I know that for sure.
Yeah. Well, we were told that by many years ago. I had gotten a psychic medium reading. Psychic medium. Psychic. Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember what her title is. But I went to her for like 10 years to get readings, and she always got it right. And I remember her telling me that we had been twins in another life. I've never seen it. I've never been shown it, but probably.
I think the fact that Mom dressed us up as twins when we were little, even though we look completely different, and I was tall and you were short.
Not only that.
I mean, That's
we had
weird.
The bowl haircut, Lorena. Don't even talk to me about, like, you know how, like, somebody puts a bowl over your head and just cuts your hair straight, like, follows the bowl? We had bowl haircuts, Lorena.
Yeah, it was really weird. Thanks, Dad.
Thanks, man. Yeah.
Anyway.
But yeah, it's all of that stuff that we're talking about, all those difficult moments. Those are all reasons why your soul picked Earth and in this lifetime now. Because it could have decided to come earlier or later and not come now, right?
Yeah, realize that there's a reason for you being here right now, doing the things you're doing and going through what you're going through.
Also, you know what's really funny to me? I heard a lot of people commenting when quarantine first hit, like first hit, everyone's like, oh, baby boom's coming. And so people are talking about it from like a human aspect, like, oh, people are going to be stuck in their houses or just going to get with their partners, whatever. There's nothing else to do. And I thought, yes, there is a baby boom coming because all the individuals whose contracts are not signed to stay in this time, they're going to re-sign a new contract and say, you know what, this I'm going to come in, I'm going to help create a change for a new era. And that's the baby booms. All the babies that are going to be coming after quarantine are all going to be part of a whole new spiritual system that's going to help enhance the change of the generation that's before them, which is like, you know, the babies before that, right?
Yeah. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I never looked at that.
Oh my God, I did. The first thing when I heard that, I said, literally, like, my Akashic Records brain went, bing, of course. The new generation is coming back. It was like this, yeah, it was like the feeling of it totally, like, it was a puzzle. It totally fit for me. It totally made sense. Of course, they're finalizing their contracts to come back again.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And then the fact that so many people left in such a quick amount of time, and like this short amount of time, that there needs to be a regeneration of energy, for sure. Oh,
I can see them right now. They're all back there behind the, what's it called, the curtain. And they're all preparing their new contracts, like, as we speak. Yeah. It's like happening in like, I see it in front of me. It's really weird. Like, it's like a bunch of different beings just happily signing a new contract, even though they knew that they left the way that they left. They're totally happy to come back because they're coming back with pretty amazing missions. Like, that's how I see it.
And some new people too, I think, right? Like some people that aren't necessarily just reincarnating from this life. I mean, from this time. I feel like there's a lot of also spiritually awakened people coming in to help. Because if all these babies, let's say, come in, they're awakened, but they need to have the structure to help support that. So there needs to be people around them. So this is going to sound
a little weird, but they're coming with a little bit better DNA structure than we currently have. It's like it evolves a tiny bit before they come. I don't know how. I don't know if it's like the incarnation or somehow it's worked from a more like energy place. I don't understand exactly how it functions, but they're going to have the capacity to connect. Their bodies are going to have the capacity to connect much better than us. They'll be more open. That's why I'm saying it seems to be DNA, because it's the body that's permitting them, whereas our bodies are a little bit more blocked. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense, I guess. Interesting. Just probably stronger. More open, but stronger.
I can't tell what it is. I don't understand what it is. I don't understand. Like, I see that it's like their bodies are more capable, which is why I'm saying it feels like their DNA is almost more advanced than us, but I can't tell exactly what I'm seeing. They can connect to both worlds.
Yeah. Just so people know that are listening, Lucy's pulling cards as we speak.
Yeah. I'm loving this because, like, I'm throwing down the cards and then I'm getting messages from the master, so I'm doing both while we're talking.
It's good.
It's
a good way to connect. I find it a good way also when I want to just connect with myself, just pulling like oracle cards or tarot cards. It's good.
I'm better with myself with the Akashic Records. For now, I might, I don't know. I would have to practice more cards on myself when I ask.
No, but I mean, when I'm connected to the Akashic Records and I ask a question, I can answer the question with the Akashic Records, but then I can pull a card and it confirms it.
Yeah,
generally.
That's what I'm doing. Like, I already kind of know what I'm about to say, and then I flip the card, and that's why you'll see me, Like, you'll see me smile when I see it. I'm like, oh, that's funny, because that's exactly what I was getting. Yeah. It's nice. Connected. It's like a visual, a tangible visual confirmation of what you already know is coming in.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
I love that.
Yeah.
So yeah, guys, I don't know if there's anything else.
We kind of like went to different places, but what we really wanted to, I want to wrap it up a little bit. What we really wanted to come through with this episode is, we're going through a hard time, but we're always going to have a hard time coming in our life at some point, whether it's a personal or it's worldwide, right? And that's all on purpose. Your soul decided that it was going to go through difficult struggles and difficult times, because this is the boot camp for your soul, so it can absorb wisdom and knowledge and continue its own spiritual growth. Our souls always want to continue its spiritual growth. So all those things we talked about were reasons why we're all here. And they might be very specific to each soul, but at the end of the day, we're all here to go through some aspect of the boot camp, right?
Yeah, knowing that also that Earth at this moment in time is one of the best places that we can come and learn and struggle. So, you know, if we're here, we're very fortunate to be learning all these lessons and being able to evolve and grow. So, you know, knowing that through that growth, through that learning, we're going to be able to elevate ourselves and kind of, you know, evolve as souls and making our next incarnation even more amazing.
While we're being attacked by external circumstances, we're still waking up to our true higher selves.
Correct. Yes. Do you want to add anything else before I close off the...
No, guys. You gotta just run with the boot camp, guys. Just try to do it. Yeah, just try to be from a positive place and try to discover who you really are. I think that the more you connect with your real internal self, with the real person that you are, which is a soul having a human experience, I think that's the way that we're all going to get through this better.
100%. We're all going to get through this if we can elevate our energy. And the only way to do that is to connect with ourselves, which our true self is our higher self, our soul. That entity or that part of ourselves that chose to be here, that really chose to be here during this hard time because it needed to learn something. So guys, make sure you're following us on Instagram. Our Instagram handle's at soul_tribe_podcast. We also have a Facebook. We'll link that below on the show notes. And yeah, we want to thank you guys for your support, for listening to the podcast. We really appreciate it. If you want to support us even further, please share this with anybody that might find this episode interesting, or you want to just share this information with them.
Share this with your boot camp buddies.
Yeah, like your soul tribe.
Yeah.
And if you also feel called to leave a rating and review on iTunes, we would greatly appreciate that. That will help us get to more ears and to get our message out and to grow. So yeah, we'll link all the information for the June Akashic Records Level 1 course on the show notes as well. So look out for that. Feel free to email us if you have any questions. We're happy to help. And if you're not in time for the June, we'll definitely be considering a July course if there's enough people for that. Or we can keep you on a waiting list for any further classes after the June one. So get in touch if you're still interested. And thanks again for everything, guys, for the support and for listening to us. We really appreciate you. And we hope you guys have a great week.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.